On this vote, the yeas are 228, the nays are 164. The bill is passed.
The House surprisingly did something great. Yes, they passed cannabis decriminalization. Now, of course, it's not going to pass the Senate, but I'll get to more of that in a second. First, let me show you the vote totals here. Public Citizen tweeting out, breaking, the House just passed a bill to decriminalize marijuana at the federal level, a historic moment. So, taking a look at the numbers here, see it's 222 Democratic votes saying yay to 6 nay. I'll get to these 6 in a minute. Republicans 5 agreeing to it, saying yes. Most of them here, 158 saying no, and 1 independent. I believe that is Justin Amash, who was Republican, is now Libertarian. He's that independent yay vote. But here it is, passing the House. Let me give you a little more details on the actual bill. So the MORE Act would remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act and eliminate criminal penalties for individuals who manufacture, distribute, or possess marijuana. It also includes creating a process to remove prior convictions, known as expungement, and conduct sentencing review hearings for federal cannabis offenses. So it's not just decriminalizing it, but also looking to expunge past convictions that were nonviolent, which, of course, has to be part of any decriminalization effort when it comes to marijuana. Now, let me show you the popularity of this, showing you how public opinion does not reflect Congress. In general, the fact that it's taken this long to back this. So support for marijuana inches up to new high of 68%. This was on November 9th, 2020. You see here, it's had a majority support for quite some time, since around 2011. A majority of people have supported marijuana legalization. So this is, by the way, just again, this is decriminalization, what they did. Not even legalization, but legalization has now 68% support. So, and by the way, this applies across the board. I've done breakdowns before showing you when it comes to single-payer healthcare or government-run healthcare has a majority of support. Wealth tax has a majority of support. Higher tax on corporations has a majority of support. Congress just does not represent the will of the people. They represent their special interests, their donors. And this is another example of that, why it took this long for this to happen. Now, let me show you who exactly did not support this. So, and who did. So Republicans who voted for the bill are Florida Rep. Matt Gaetz, the bill's co-sponsor, as well as Brian Mast of Florida, Tom McClintock of California, Denver Riggleman of Virginia, Don Young of Alaska, and the Democrats that voted against it, Sherry Bustos, Dan Lipinski, Henry Cuellar, Connor Lamb, Chris Papas, and Colin Peterson. So just all of these people, I should say, in terms of the Democrats at least, why? Why? Why are these people Democrats? So it really shows you that when you have even Republicans, and Matt Gaetz being a co-sponsor of the bill, again, Matt Gaetz has horrible positions on the vast majority of things, but this is just the correct thing to do, to at the very least decriminalize. Forget about legalization, which should also happen, but decriminalize is the bare minimum, and still you're having Democrats vote against it. Now, as I said, of course, this is not going to pass the Senate. There is the potential, I guess, if Democrats are able to win both Senate seats in the Georgia runoffs, they would have a 50-50 Senate, in which case you have Kamala Harris being the tiebreaker. But that also assumes that every Democrat would vote for it, which people like Joe Manchin, I don't think he would. Then again, you could also argue maybe there would be, several, 1 or 2 or 3 votes from Republicans that would actually back passing this. But again, we're going to have to wait and see. For now, this seems more like a signal of what Democrats want to do as opposed to what they actually can and will be able to get through. But a few more things here. Chuck Schumer celebrating the House legalizing weed. Right now, Chuck Schumer is incredibly afraid of a primary challenge in 2022. So he is doing whatever he can to appear as progressive as possible. So he will back things like that. He's also discussed how he wants Joe Biden to get rid of or cancel up to $50,000 of student debt, which is a position he didn't hold before. But again, Schumer's trying to appear a little more left-wing than he actually is. But hey, if he actually gets any of this done and it's not just, posturing, then good for him. Then he would deserve to keep a seat if he actually gets any of it done. But if it's just rhetoric and doesn't actually fight for it, then it all means nothing. Last thing here. So this comes on the heels of this bit of news. A UN commission has voted to remove cannabis from a list that categorized it as one of the most dangerous drugs, a move that recognizes the plant as having medicinal value. The science has shown this for decades. At least 60 years, if not longer. 60 years is when this actually came into effect, 60 years ago. And at the time, the science was there to show you that this is not a dangerous substance. But still, of course, they pushed to pretend that it was this dangerous thing. Then all these countries outlawed marijuana. And now finally, the UN recognizing the science and pushing to remove it from the dangerous category. Also, I got to mention here, as a Canadian, Canada legalized marijuana now 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Honestly, I've lost track. But I've lost track because nothing crazy happened. Of course, there was all this fear mongering. Oh, it's going to somehow destroy our culture. It's going to. Honestly, I'm not even sure what the arguments were against it, because there are no actual arguments against decriminalizing or legalizing marijuana. But Canada legalized marijuana and everything's fine. And on top of that, generating tax revenue because of it. So this is just a no-brainer. And of course, again, when discussing decriminalization or legalization, always have to focus on expunging records of people that are in jail for nonviolent offenses over possession or what have you when it comes to marijuana. Absolutely ridiculous. You got to expunge those records and free those people.